Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Usopp is an incredible marksman and also has the dream of becoming a brave warrior of the sea so that he can make his tales, and taller tales at that, come true. And out of all the marksman pirates, Usopp is the only one we've ever seen that uses a slingshot as a long-distance weapon, becoming something rather characteristic of this Straw Hat member. So today's video, we're going to talk about the reasons why Usopp only uses slingshots instead of more common long-distance weapons like rifles and flintlocks, just like a lot of the other marksmen that we've seen in other crews. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it continues to motivate us to make more content. If you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, as everyone knows, Usopp is not just a marksman or a shooter. He's also an incredible inventor, having the ability to not only make slingshots to use in battle, but lots of other gadgets and different things that he could use in any time of need. All his various weapons and gadgets are customized to have a ridiculous level of strength compared to the regular physical-like manifestations of slingshots we've seen. And he always has more than a single weapon to prepare for any situation. And this is something that makes Usopp unique because he doesn't have a single rifle or flintlock, but rather several, which makes this character totally different from other sniper pirates. This feature makes Usopp a standout from all the other pirates that just use a standard weapon like a rifle or something else. And this could be his means of becoming famous, because Usopp uses all these different weapons and gadgets to achieve that same fame. Another way Usopp manages to compensate for the disadvantage of not using a standard rifle is through his custom ammunition that offers multiple ways for him to face off against his opponents. This allows him to customize and use the ammunition that suits him best in whatever circumstance he finds himself in, with each of them serving a different purpose, making Usopp's style completely unique and even more versatile. Now normally, a regular marksman might only use his haki and a ranged weapon, only managing to hurt the opponents with these weapons and not really having much more diversity in their attacks. Maybe a trick shot or two, but nothing more significant than that. Usopp, on the other hand, manages to present a much more fun and dynamic battle, using weapons and ammunition that he creates himself for all different kinds of purposes, doing quite well in most scenarios. One of Usopp's greatest strengths is his intelligence and the skills and resourcefulness and understanding that he has towards engineering. For example, he was easily able to understand the tunnel networks that Miss Merry Christmas was using, something another character might have struggled to understand just as easily as Usopp did. Before Franky joined the crew, Usopp served as the Straw Hat's only unofficial expert on mechanics, gadgets, serving as the crew's carpenter and shipwright at certain times, and was responsible for repairing the Going Merry multiple times before she had to unfortunately pass away. His creative and ingenious engineering resulted in the creation of the Climatact and its various versions, in which Nami's primary weapon allows her to manipulate the weather, and also his various slingshots, the biggest one named Kabuto, which he can further modify with pop greens and other types of ammunition specials that Usopp knows how to make or grow. Beyond engineering, Usopp also seems to have a very good knowledge in chemistry, being solely responsible for making highly innovative slingshot pellets, or stars that he called them, to use as ammunition. Now because Usopp makes everything he uses, this gives him a wide array of things that he can carry into any type of battle. An example of this scientific knowledge applied in battle was when he fought against Caesar Clown. See, Usopp understood that even though Caesar Clown had the Gasu Gasu no Mi, making him a Logia type, he knew he would still explode if exposed to fire, as he's still just made of a gas. He also understood that any plan wouldn't work against Caesar directly because he's always in control of the gases around him, and if he decided to remove the oxygen from the atmosphere, any flame would be immediately extinguished. However, even with his great intelligence and ability to build things, for more complex activities such as acting as the Going Merry shipwright, he's still quite inexperienced, and he could barely keep the Going Merry running by doing just different patchwork repairs, as he managed to do everything in his power to keep the ship seaworthy. As Franky pointed out himself, Usopp's skills are kinda amateurish, and he barely knows how to use a hammer properly for at least those kind of jobs. After Franky joined the crew, Usopp happily let him take over all of the shipwright maintenance and even agreed to Franky's request to help him. In return, and also out of respect, Franky provided a workshop for Usopp to work on his gadgets and various creations, something that Usopp feels really at home with. And even Franky admitted that his gadget and invention skills are absolutely amazing. So as we can see, Usopp doesn't have the same limitation like other snipers, worse, because with the use of just a generic long-range weapon, they pretty much all do the same thing, changing only the distance and speed that the projectiles move. Comparing this to Usopp, I mean, sure, his projectiles might not reach the same speed as a bullet, but he still manages to wound his enemies and cause different obstacles and tie them up in many more creative ways than any rifleman ever could. After all, the purpose of Usopp's slingshots aren't necessarily just to pierce their opponent's body as a weapon. Kabuto and all his other gadgets have a very different and diverse array of purposes depending on what Usopp needs in the moment. And that very diversity gives Usopp multiple ways to win. And it also means that his battling isn't really all that boring. With Usopp's toolkit, he can do everything from straight up pierce his enemies to explode them, set them on fire, create a large plant, even make barriers, each one being deployed when and how he needs it to be done, demonstrating that Usopp doesn't just follow the simple marksman pattern. He simply invented a new way for a marksman to fight, becoming really the only one among marksmen and snipers who think of a completely different and unique way to fight. Usopp uses his creativity and intelligence during battle, demonstrating a fun and kind of whimsical form of combat, using different ammunition, but always innovating with new ammunition after each battle, because he learns new and different ways to change his repertoire and his kit. So with this kit, Usopp manages to help his crew in a lot of different ways that he has up his sleeves, being completely unpredictable during combat, something that even his enemies have been impressed by. However, although Usopp's differentiated style is very, very strong, Usopp might not be able to take on extremely powerful opponents with it. In fact, he might just be there to distract them while he waits for one of his other companions to appear and help him. But this also gives Usopp great support capacity, where it can make him much more effective as a shooter against medium and more weak enemies, managing to defeat them with a much greater ease. But in fairness, few marksmen could really take on extremely powerful enemies just with a rifle. The most recognized names today are of course Ben Beckman and Usopp, being two great marksmen from Shanks' crew. But these two characters are standouts because they have techniques with their weapons that allow them to face extremely powerful opponents and are able to match them even if they're at close range. But this is something that Usopp wants to be able to do and have that same potential, to be able to take on an opponent known worldwide as powerful, thus managing to defeat him so that he can prove his worth to the world and also to himself, being known all around the world not only as Usopp, the sniper of the Straw Hats, but as a brave warrior of the sea, where he has several interesting and impactful stories to tell people. He wants to have those stories and those feats that would leave just about anyone in awe of his incredible potential as a marksman. So he wants to become stronger, not only so he can achieve that, but more importantly so that he can also protect his comrades. Throughout his journey on the Straw Hat crew, Usopp has gradually gained experience using slingshots, increasing their pressure, speed, all his various weapons and ammunition, not to mention all of the things he figured out with the dial technology that they learned about up in Skypiea. So just as every other member of the crew has grown and grown more diverse in their ability to bring different techniques to the battlefield, Usopp has done the same, gradually increasing his abilities and effectiveness during combat. And over time, this will end up leading to Usopp becoming quite powerful and really skilled, allowing him to face powerful enemies just like any other crew of the Straw Hats. And this is probably the main reason why Usopp doesn't use other long-distance weapons like other marksmen. He likes having that certain kind of autonomy, where he can become a shooter with his own unique way of doing things and defeating his enemies in any way that he likes, having, in my view, a much more effective way because of the variety and just diversity of how he can adapt mid-battle. And if Usopp ends up developing his haki and even turns out to have Conqueror's haki, because although during Wano he did lie saying that he had Conqueror's haki when it was really Big Mom up on the top of the skull, we've seen in multiple occasions that Usopp's lies do tend to come true. So imagine Usopp's just wide array of kit combined with true haki mastery, something that would make even his papa Usopp quite proud to see. So depending on what happens after the Straw Hats escape from Egghead Island, most of us in the community are thinking that they're gonna be headed to Elbaf. We know that there's gotta be closure for Robin because Elbaf is the place where all of the wonderful knowledge that the island of Ohara came up with has been kept safe since that tragic Buster Call. And most of us in the fandom have also thought that when we go to Elbaf, because of that connection that Usopp had with Dory and Bragi all the way back in Little Garden, we know that that's gonna be his arc to shine and grow and truly earn that title title of Brave Warrior of the Sea. And once that happens, he might even be able to surpass his father Usopp in the future, becoming the most famous and skilled sniper in the world of One Piece, being feared above everyone because of his great fame that will travel across the entire world. But with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. What's one of your favorite moments where Usopp has shined or learned or grown in the story? Next, what do you think about the possibility of Usopp having Conqueror's Haki? I mean, he was a leader of the Usopp Pirates. Do you think that his kind of dreaming could come true, or was it just more of a gag that Oda gave us during the middle of the battle on Onigashima? And finally, how do you think Usopp will eventually earn that title of Brave Warrior of the Sea? Is it going to be something on Elbaf, or something even more impressive? Let us know what you think about all that in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.